O mankind, you should be mindful of your duty to Allah.
Train the child the way he should go, and when he grows, he will not depart from it.
One person who, when you empower her, she can do a lot.
Bad company corrupts good character.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You are welcome, my distinguished viewers, to A Woman's Perspective. The promised Messiah is reported to have said that children are surrounded by so many trials, but if we are able to make them righteous, then they will be saved at the end of the day, and they will be righteous. How are our children going to be righteous? Today on A Woman's Perspective, we are going to discuss the importance of raising Ahmadi children. With me to discuss this topic is to my immediate left, Hajia Alema Tutampuri, who is the administrator of TI Ahmadiyya School and is also the former general manager of Ahmadiyya Education Unit Ghana. After Hajia, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And you are welcome as well.
Jazakallah.
After Hajia, we have Mrs. Zainab Abdul Salam, who is the National Nasirat Secretary of the Women's Wing of Ahmadiyya Ghana and is also the headmistress of Fomina TI Ahmadiyya Secondary School Fomina. Hajia Zainab, you are welcome.
Jazakallah.
Okay. Hajia Alima, I will start with you. Please tell us, or let us know the purpose or the reason why we should raise our children the Islamic way.
Jazakallah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. It is stated reported in the Holy Quran that every child is born sinless, and whatever defects the child later acquires comes from the home and his environment. So therefore, it is very important that parents raise their children in the standards of Islam, Islamic principles. Yes. Human beings, every human has good and bad tendencies. And it's based on parents to refine the good tendencies in the children and instill in them the Islamic principles so that the love of Allah, so that the children will grow up to be responsible human beings, inshallah, in this earth.
Okay. So that we raise the children to be responsible human beings in our society. Madam Zainab, there are so many religious sectors in our community today. But why are we saying that the child should be specifically be trained the Islamic way? What the Islamic way here, what comes in? What does it talk about?
Jazakallah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. As Muslims, the main purpose or the main importance of raising Ahmadi children in Islamic way is to ensure that the children are able to fully discharge their obligations to the Almighty Allah as well as their fellow human beings. Because service to man is service to God. And for that matter, Allah in the Holy Quran, chapter 51, verse 57 said, "And I have not created the jinn and man but to worship me." And so the main purpose for you to know is that the child should know is that God is supreme and the child should come and love God.
Okay. The child should come and love God. We all know our children look up to us in their daily activities. So as a mother, as a parent, what are some of the role models you have to show so that the child will follow suit and also grow to be a role model to the others? Can you tell us that, Madam Zainab?
Jazakallah. It is said that no man is born a criminal,
of
but
course.
It is the society that makes him so. Until the society changes, man cannot change. And therefore, it means that a child is innocent. So it depends on how you mold the child. We all know that the home is the first point of contact when any child is born. And so whatever the child sees, imitate. That's what we mean by the mimic. You copy and then try to replicate. And so whatever you do that it is not in consonance with the Islamic principle, the child is likely to imbibe. And so we, the parents, we should not preach virtue and practice vice. That is the first thing. One, let the child know some courtesy. Like, please, whenever the child is asking something, and then try to be very courteous, and then respect the elderly, and you, the parent, it should be norm in the home before the child carries those things outside.
That means the parent should be courteous herself.
Exactly.
Exactly.
In all manners, your speech, because it said that you should, the hadith has made us respect your children.
Of course.
And definitely they will
respect
reciprocate.
you. Okay.
Exactly.
That's good. So, Hajia Alima, please tell us, sometimes we hear and we see in their homes that some parents will tell the child to do this, but the parent rather do otherwise. So if it happens like that, what does the parent expect the child to do? Because in that situation, you have put the child under two umbrellas. You are telling him to do this thing, but you yourself, you are doing otherwise. So when it happens like that, what does the child have to do?
Jazakallah. As Madam Zainab rightly said, children, they mimic, they copy.
Of course.
What parents do at home.
Of course.
So if you're a parent, like you rightly said, when it is time for salat, you don't wake up to say salat. The child is watching.
But you tell her to go
and pray. The child definitely will not listen to you.
Of course.
Huzur, Hazrat Khalifa the Fourth said that he learned how to pray when his mother was very regular in prayers.
Wow.
And when he was growing, the mother used to wake him up by putting, when he refused to wake up, he will lift him from the bed and put him in water. And as time went on, he became very, very regular in prayers. And so it bounds on parents that we should, this also comes in as role models. Again, the parent, the mother, the father should live a very righteous life.
Of course.
So that the children will emulate. And when they do, it will not be difficult for the parents to tell the child, do this, and the child will refuse to. When we continue doing the negative things, like it is time for meals, and the mother, there's time for meals. The mother should get the food ready, but here is the case, she's sitting down watching a movie she enjoys so much until the children are hungry. Now you tell your teenage child, go go to the kitchen. Do you think the child will do? Maybe she's also on WhatsApp enjoying something
herself.
But so in this case, there's nothing the mother, a parent can do to the child by using force. It bounds on us to change our lives. When we change our behavior, the children will emulate.
Exactly. We had it.
Yes,
we had it. That even Khalifa, his mother used to sprinkle water on him to wake him up to go and pray. So we have a whole lot to do. I think there's nothing wrong with sprinkling water on your child to wake him up to go and pray. We've learned something.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to add that these days, these little ones we see, when they keep on I have a granddaughter. Right. The moment Azan is called, she tells me, Grandma, they are calling Azan.
Wow.
Let's go to the mosque.
Exactly.
Let's go to the mosque.
Exactly.
And during the fasting, when we were going for Taraweeh prayers, at 3:30 I got up. I thought I was dodging her. But when I opened the door, she got up. Wow. Crying, she would go to them just because I was in my veil. She would go to the mosque. So so interested in going to the mosque, even though she doesn't pray, but always she follows me to the mosque. So when we start with this good behavior, good morals, we are instilling in the children the spirit of responsibility.
Of course.
The child knows when to do this and when to do that, knows the wrong from the right, because mother is always doing the right thing at the right time.
Mother is always doing the right thing at the right time. So, Madam Zainab, please tell us, what are some of the ways that we can instill the love of God into our children?
Jazakallah.
Khairan.
There are several ways of instilling discipline in our children
Okay.
in order for spiritual enhancement.
Okay.
And one is instilling the fear of God, taqwa, into the children. When they fear God, they will never engage themselves in any immoral act.
Okay.
That is the first point. So as women, we have the responsibility to inculcate the fear of God into our children.
Good.
Without that, the child will not do anything or deviate from any good structures that we have put in place. That is the first thing. Second, we should let the children know that you cannot lie before the child. Usually, we mothers, you have done something, as soon as the father enters the house, he said, you haven't done it.
Exactly.
Before the child, you have lied.
Exactly.
Indirectly, we are telling the children to lie.
lie.
We don't want to admit our mistakes.
Yes.
You get me?
Yeah, I do.
It is better you admit your mistakes and say sorry.
Of course.
So some of these words should be emulated by the children if we do. If not, it is going to be something that we can't bear in future. Right? We should also teach our children the tenets of Islam.
Okay.
To be obedient to the commandment of God, to be truthful, the honest, and whatever. Like the Holy Prophet gained the title Al-Amin, the trustworthy.
Okay.
And so we should expect that much of this training should go into the children. Then teach them wisdom, words of wisdom. Use the examples of the Holy Prophet, how he solved the black stone issue, the Hazrat Ibrahim. Let them know that as a believer, always the kalimat al-hikmah should be what they should hold. Okay. Teach them decent languages, abuse of people, saying all sorts of words. For soft words break husbands. So why can't we say some of these things so that our home will be peaceful? And once the home is peaceful, as soon as the children go out, they will point hands at home. Then we should also separate their base whenever they reach a certain stage, like boys from girls. So,
okay, Hajia, Sister Hajia Zainab, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hajia, please, in our society sometimes, in our quest to correct the children, some parents even use abusive languages, abusive words to correct the child. This is the child you are training, and the child has made a mistake, and you want to correct the child, and you are rather using an abusive word. So when it happens like that, what is the implication the mother correcting the child rather doing to the child?
Thank you very much, Jazaka. Hazrat Halifatu Masih the Fifth said that we should respect our children and talk to them, treat them in moderation. And so when a child does something, we should find a way of talking to the child with the love of Allah. If you talk to the child, showing her love, even though the child has made a mistake, you tell the child that, yes, this is the effect of your mistake on the family or on you yourself or whatever. Take it that is an accident that has happened. But next time, this is how you go about it. When you talk to children with the love of Allah in them, the children will learn from that, and those mistakes will not be repeated. he also said that we should not hurt the children. So some parents beat their children, that we should not hurt them. We should talk to them with love. We should bring them together, bring them closer to us. From that, we'll get to know their problems. We know their priorities, the things that they want, things that are worrying them, and then they'll be able to open up to us. And then we should be their first friends. When we open up, the child will never go out to learn anything negative from the peer group or the community. Okay. When you open up, they come to you. And when the child is very close to the parent, and you sit down with the child and then talk about Allah, talk about morality and spirituality, gradually you are instilling in the child. And within some time, you realize that this is my child. What I've realized from the temperament, from the bad behavior, from the arrogance, I see the child is now a changed person. Oh, okay. Because you have to, when you do this, not only that, you have to also try to take the children to the mosque. You see, congregational prayers, take them for picnics so that they mingle with their colleagues and then they learn from there.
That's very good.
Thank
you very much.
Yes,
okay, would you like to add something?
Yes. Let me add that, as Hajia rightly said, according to the hadith, children are born, as I said, that cleanliness is a requirement of faith. Of course. And so cleanliness is nearliness to godliness. When your child is clean, it has a clean physical body and thus leads to clean mind. That is where the child will be clean. And so we should always ensure that the child is clean. When the child is dirty, it may lead to future immoral acts. For example, if there is dirt around the genitals, the child will tend to scratch around there. And by so doing, during some stage, there will be some kind of sexual feeling. The child will feel that I should do this or act something of that sort. And so we should always ensure that our children are clean. Another important thing that Hajia mentioned, which I would like to add, is the act of forgiveness. That whosoever wrongs his soul and asks forgiveness of Allah will find Allah most forgiving, ever merciful. So as we admit our mistakes, we should also forgive as well. That is the Quran chapter 4 verse 111. And then we should also teach our children to be having self-control. Okay. And self-control here could be the desire for sex, hunger, and then as well as anger. If the child has self-control, at least he will be tolerant enough to cooperate with his fellow human beings. And so in this case, the hadith has told us to avoid excessiveness and extravagance. And therefore, as that is done, the child should be fed at fixed hours. When you feed the child at fixed hours, let the child feel some packs of hunger, and by so doing, in future, he or she is ready to share with his fellow. Like, for example, the child is being sent to school. You give 3 coins, let the child use 1, share 1 with colleagues, and use 1 for sacrifice. Because to obey is better than to sacrifice. You will agree with me that we have some sense of responsibility and initiative through the children by giving them small tasks at home. And the tasks should commensurate with their age. And while we are teaching the children, we are teaching them to be hardworking. Even on Fridays, the Quran has told us that we should not use the whole day. That is why we go for Friday prayers, and yet we come back to do our work.
Madam, let's Madam Zainab, lest I forget, nowadays what we rather see is that parents don't task the children. Children are not asked to do any activities in the homes. They are not asked to sweep, to clean, to cook, but rather we rather pamper our children, thinking that is modernity. That is what this person is doing, so I think I also have to do such. Islamically, is it right? Do parents have to do that? Do we have to train the children that way?
Exactly, no.
Thank you.
Because we should educate our children, but not to school our children. I hope you get me. Yeah, and so it is because there is some kind of a load on the child, and then the demand of the environment. Okay. Most often, the children are in school waking up early, and by the time they come back, it is too late. So some of these little tasks
should be
exactly.
Yes. Okay, Hajia, so please tell us, what are some of the Islamic principles in parenting?
One, the first and foremost is to instill in the children the fear of Allah, and then also observe Salat, at the 5 daily prayers.
Very important.
Yes, and like I said earlier, going with the children for congregational prayers, taking the children to take part in Jamaat activities. You see, and then you look at, we don't train the children, we are talking about spiritual, moral, but we look at physical too. The physical aspect too affects our spiritual life.
So
the way we dress.
Supposed to pray for our children.
Yes.
Parents are supposed to pray for our children.
And also teach them to also pray for the parents.
Well. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And so some of these things, our way of dressing. Now they are telling us to observe Pada. Some of us see it to be a bit difficult because of age, but it is the truth. Okay. That's the truth about Islam, especially Islam Ahmadiyyat. Okay. And so when we start with the children, little ones, wearing them with the veil, every time the child is in veil, like my school, to go to school, go to the mosque, the child eventually, this is manifested in the child. Okay. And in future, the parents will not need to admonish the child or remind the child of these good practices. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Madam Zainab, please, your last words.
Yes. Some of the Islamic principles that as parents we have to impart on our children, as Hajia said, is prayers. Even before birth, you have to pray for pious children. For the Holy Quran has said, "My Lord, grant me pure offspring from thyself." And you realize that you pray, the children pray, and let them know, as we have said, the fear of God. So definitely let them know the timely, the time that they used to pray for the 5 daily prayers. And then the Salat, Waqimu Salat, we all know in the Holy Quran. For the Hadith, according to the Hadith, that prayer in congregation is 27 times more beneficial than prayer performed by oneself.
Okay, we heard that. So Hajia, can you also tell us some of the Islamic principle that the child should keep a good company? The child should keep a good company. Can you dwell much on that for us?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The child definitely must have friends because they should associate. Okay. But it is incumbent on parents to choose friends for their children. Okay. Or when the child comes in with a friend, the parents should know the child very well. The friend's parents too.
Okay, the family of the friend.
The friend. And in that case, it is going to unite the two families. Okay. And that will help the mother or the parent to monitor the child. And in that case, you can embrace the friend, and then when they are going wayward, you can embrace the child as part of your family, and then give them moral talks, or give them training that will help them, as we said, to be responsible human beings to themselves, to their family, and to the society, the Jamaat as a whole. So it's very important that parents know the friends of their children, and also help to even make friends for their children. Because if I know a family that they live righteous lives, definitely I want my children
to be in that family.
Part of that family.
I want to add a little.
Yes. And the right company is that I want to talk about. That the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam defines a friend as a worthy friend. That is one whose very sight makes you remember Allah, whose conversation increases your knowledge, and whose deeds reminds you of the hereafter. So I just want to add that. But then there are certain things that as time will not permit us. So as you said, before that, we mothers, we have a lot of responsibility.
A whole lot.
Yes, and then because we always say paradise lies at the feet of the mother.
Exactly.
So the most important thing as mothers is that the Holy Prophet was reported to have said that we have to encourage Muslims, that those of the Muslim community who remain steadfast to Allah and fear Him in the midst of immorality, indecency, vanity, falsehood, and deception in the world. Such members of the Muslim community will have 100-fold of reward of the martyrs, that is those who died during the jihad. And so
we've heard that.
Let your children have the Quran and the Hadith as their guiding principle.
Hajia, would you like to say something small to bring us to an end of the show?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. Proper parenting requires thoughtful planning and preparation.
You heard that?
Yes. And so for our young parents, those to be parents have to plan and take a critical lifestyle, live a critical lifestyle that will deserve adjustment in their homes when they get married, sharing, taking care of the children and their husbands, their in-laws, and their relatives.
Okay. I think that's all time would allow us, but we heard it all. Majority of making your child righteous lies on you, the parent, and especially the mother, to be precise. The mother, majority of making a righteous child relies on you. As the promised Messiah alayhi salam to wasalam has rightly said, that become righteous yourself and become an example of piety and righteousness for your child, and make effort and pray to make them God-fearing and devout. So today, the program has, alhamdulillah, told us or taught us what we have to do in order to make our children righteous. So this all time will allow us, and we are very grateful all to viewers, and thank you very much, and may we meet some other time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.